Most people spend their whole life reacting to things instead of choosing how they respond. And that one habit alone is the reason they stay stuck, stressed, and stuck in the same patterns year after year. But there's a small group of people who figured out how to break that cycle over 2,000 years ago. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what they did. I'm not talking about some trend or a random self-help trick you saw on your feed last week. I'm talking about Stoicism, a way of thinking that guys like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus used to stay calm during wars, betrayal, exile, and even facing death. These weren't people living easy lives. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire during a plague. Seneca was forced to end his own life by a mad emperor. Epictetus started out as a slave. And yet all three of them left behind ideas that still work today, in your job, in your relationships, in your own head at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. So today, we're going through 12 habits pulled straight from Stoic thinking. Not theory, not fluff. Actual habits you can start using today. Here's the real problem most of us deal with. We think we need our situation to change before we can feel better. We think once we get the job, the relationship, the money, then we'll finally be calm. But that's backwards. The Stoics figured out that peace doesn't come from your circumstances changing. It comes from changing how you respond to your circumstances. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because it means the discomfort you're feeling right now isn't really about what's happening to you. It's about how you're relating to it. Once you get that, everything shifts. So let's break down the 12 habits that make that shift possible. Number 1. Question your own limits. Most people settle. They coast through years without ever asking why they stopped at this level and not a higher one. The Stoics constantly questioned their own boundaries. When faced with a decision, they didn't ask, "What if I fail?" They asked, "Why not? Why not take the harder path if it leads to growth?" This isn't about reckless risk. It's about noticing when fear, not logic, is the thing holding you back. Next time you hesitate, just ask yourself, why not? Think about the last time you told yourself you weren't ready for something. Chances are, you were more ready than you gave yourself credit for. The limit wasn't your ability, it was your assumption about your ability. Marcus Aurelius pushed himself into decisions no one expected an emperor to make, simply because he refused to accept the boundary others had drawn for him. That's the difference between a limit that's real and a limit that's just a habit of thinking small. The moment you start treating your assumptions as questions instead of facts, doors start opening that you didn't even know existed. Number 2, be obsessed with getting better. The Stoics had a word for this, prokopton, meaning one who is making progress. They weren't chasing perfection. They were chasing the next version of themselves, every day. Not for praise, not for followers, just because growth was the point. If you're not obsessed with getting 1% better today than you were yesterday, you're leaving your potential on the table. This isn't about grinding yourself into the ground either. It's about small, steady improvement that compounds over time until one day you look back and don't recognize who you used to be. Epictetus taught his students that character is built the same way a craftsman builds skill, through repetition, not through sudden bursts of inspiration. The people who improve the most aren't the most talented. They're the ones who show up consistently long after everyone else quit. Progress doesn't need an audience to matter. It just needs you, showing up again tomorrow. Number 3, pour your heart into it. Half effort gets half results, but worse than that, it gives you zero fulfillment. The Stoics believed the value of an action wasn't in the outcome, it was in the depth of commitment behind it. So whatever you're doing today, whether it's your job, your workout, a conversation with someone you love, do it fully. Not because it guarantees a result, but because half-hearted living is its own kind of suffering. When you hold back, you're not protecting yourself from failure. You're guaranteeing a quiet, ongoing dissatisfaction that follows you into everything else you do. Seneca warned against living life as a spectator of your own existence, going through the motions without ever fully arriving. Full effort doesn't mean exhausting yourself. It means being present enough that you actually experience what you're doing instead of just performing it. That presence is what turns an ordinary task into something meaningful. And meaning, more than achievement, is what actually sustains a person over time. Number 4. Stay on your path. We live surrounded by distractions built specifically to pull our attention in 50 directions at once. The Stoics knew that staying on course required more than motivation. It required knowing exactly what you stand for. Write down your values, revisit them, use them like a compass. When storms hit, and they will, that compass is the only thing keeping you from drifting. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes depending on your mood, your sleep, your circumstances. Values don't fluctuate the same way, which is exactly why they work as an anchor when everything else feels unstable. Marcus Aurelius reread his own principles constantly, not because he forgot them, but because repetition kept them alive under pressure. The people around you will constantly try to pull you toward their priorities, their urgency, their definition of what matters. Without a clear sense of your own path, you'll spend your life reacting to everyone else's agenda instead of building your own. Número 5. Não foque nos resultados. Este muda tudo quando você realmente entende. Os estoicos dividiam a vida em duas categorias: as coisas que você controla e as que você não controla. Seu esforço, sua atitude, sua integridade, tudo isso está sob seu controle. Wait. I need to keep this in English since the whole script is in English. Let me correct number 5 below in English properly. Number 5. Don't focus on outcomes. This one changes everything once it clicks. The Stoics split life into 2 categories: things you control and things you don't. Your effort, your attitude, your integrity, all in your control. The result, other people's opinions, the market, other people's choices, none of that is in your control. When you obsess over outcomes, you're gripping onto something that was never yours to hold. Do the work. Let go of the rest. This distinction sounds simple, but almost nobody actually lives by it. We spend enormous amounts of energy trying to control things we have zero influence over, and almost none on the one thing we fully own, our own effort. Epictetus called this the fundamental error of human suffering, confusing what's ours with what isn't. Once you stop measuring yourself by results you can't guarantee, a strange kind of freedom shows up. You still work just as hard, maybe harder, but the anxiety that used to come with it disappears, because you're no longer betting your peace of mind on something outside your hands. Here's something most people miss about this philosophy. Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionless or cold. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, not for an audience, just to remind himself daily how to stay grounded while running the most powerful empire on earth. He wasn't detached from life. He was fully in it, just without letting it control him. That distinction changes everything about how you should be using these habits. Number 6. You attract what you embody. If you're filled with bitterness, that bitterness leaks into every interaction you have. If you build patience, resilience, and honesty into who you are, that shows up too, in how people treat you, in the opportunities that come your way. The Stoics believed you can't control the world, but you can control who you choose to be inside it. And that choice shapes everything around you eventually. People are far more perceptive than we give them credit for. They sense energy before they consciously notice it. Someone who carries resentment tends to attract conflict without even realizing they're creating it. Someone who carries calm tends to diffuse tension just by being present. This isn't mysticism. It's simple cause and effect playing out over thousands of small interactions. Change what you embody consistently, and eventually the world around you starts reflecting it back. Number 7, embrace the challenge. Every obstacle you face carries something inside it, either a lesson or a chance to build strength you didn't have before. The instinct is to see a setback as purely bad. The Stoic instinct is to ask, what can this teach me? That single shift from why is this happening to me to what can I take from this is one of the most powerful mental tools you'll ever use. This isn't about pretending pain doesn't hurt or forcing positivity onto real struggle. It's about refusing to let the struggle be pointless. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the obstacle is the way, meaning the very thing blocking your path often contains the exact lesson you need to move forward. Every difficult season you've survived has already taught you something, even if you haven't named it yet. The people who grow the fastest aren't the ones who avoid hardship, they're the ones who extract meaning from it instead of just enduring it. Number 8. Do what little you can. Big goals feel overwhelming because we look at the whole mountain instead of the next step. The Stoics taught that we don't control grand outcomes, we only control the choice in front of us right now. So stop waiting until you feel ready to do something huge. Do the small thing today. That's it. That's the whole habit. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Waiting for the perfect moment is really just procrastination wearing a disguise. There will never be a moment that feels fully ready, because readiness is a feeling, not a fact. Epictetus taught his students to focus only on the action directly in front of them, ignoring the temptation to solve the entire problem at once. Small, consistent actions compound in ways that dramatic bursts of effort never do, because they build a habit rather than a memory. A year from now, the people who did a little every day will have outpaced the people who waited for motivation to strike. Number 9. Change your definition of success. If your success depends on money, titles, or how many people follow you, you've built your entire life on things you can lose in a single day. The Stoics measured success by character. Did you act with honesty? Did you show courage when it counted? Did you grow? Those are things nobody can take from you, no matter what happens in the world around you. External markers of success are fragile by nature. Markets crash, reputations shift, platforms disappear overnight. Internal markers, the ones tied to who you actually are, don't depend on circumstances outside your control. Seneca, despite losing his fortune and eventually his life, never described himself as a failure because he measured his life by conduct, not by outcome. This reframe doesn't mean external achievement is worthless. It means it should never be the foundation your identity rests on. When character is the measure, you can lose everything else and still consider your life a success. Number 10. Avoid seeking approval. Chasing approval is one of the sneakiest traps out there because it feels harmless. But every time you shape your choices around what other people might think, you're handing them control over your life. The Stoics taught that your worth comes from your own principles, not from a crowd's changing opinion. Not everyone is going to like you. That's not a problem to solve. That's just reality. The need for approval often starts so early and runs so deep that most people never even notice how much it's steering their decisions. Every career choice, relationship, and opinion filtered through what will people think is a small surrender of your own autonomy. Epictetus reminded his students that other people's judgments are entirely outside your control, so building your self-worth on them is building on sand. The moment you stop needing universal approval, you gain the freedom to make choices that are actually right for you. Ironically, people tend to respect that independence far more than they respect constant people-pleasing. Number 11. Reject distractions. Saying no is one of the most underrated skills a person can build. It's not rudeness, it's protection of your time and your priorities. The Stoics understood that time is the one resource you can never get back. Every yes you give to something that doesn't matter is a no to something that does. We live in an era engineered to fragment attention into smaller and smaller pieces, and every fragmented minute is a minute stolen from what actually matters to you. Seneca warned specifically against people who scatter their lives across 1,000 small commitments and end up mastering nothing. Saying yes to everything feels generous in the moment, but it quietly guarantees mediocrity across the board. The people who accomplish the most tend to say no far more often than they say yes, precisely because they understand the cost of every commitment. Protecting your time isn't selfish. It's the only way to make sure your energy goes toward what you actually care about. Number 12. Let it go with indifference. This is the habit that ties everything else together, and it's the hardest one to actually live by. Letting go with indifference doesn't mean not caring. It means caring deeply about the things you actually control, your effort, your character, your choices, and releasing your grip on everything else. The outcome of your work. What people think of you. What happens tomorrow. None of that was ever fully yours to control in the first place. And the moment you truly understand that, something shifts inside you. The anxiety that used to eat at you starts to fade, not because your problems disappeared, but because you stopped fighting battles that were never yours to win. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of our pain isn't from what's actually happening, it's from our resistance to it. Indifference in the Stoic sense isn't apathy, it's clarity about what's actually worth your energy. It's the difference between carrying a weight you were never meant to carry and finally setting it down. This one habit, more than any other, determines whether the other 11 actually take root in your life or stay as ideas you agreed with, but never lived. So there you have it. 12 habits that Stoic thinkers used thousands of years ago, and that still hold up today because they're built on something that never changes: human nature. Question your limits. Get obsessed with progress, not perfection. Give everything you do your full effort. Stay locked on your own path, no matter the noise. Stop gripping onto outcomes you can't control. Understand that who you become shapes the world you attract. Treat every obstacle as material for growth. Take the small step in front of you instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Redefine success around character, not approval. Stop living for other people's opinions. Say no to what pulls you away from what matters. And finally, let go of everything that was never yours to control in the first place. None of these habits are complicated. That's actually the whole point. Stoicism was never meant to be a complicated philosophy locked away in academic books. It was meant to be lived, one decision at a time, one hard moment at a time. You don't need to master all 12 today. Pick one, just one, and practice it until it becomes part of who you are. Then, move to the next. That's how real change happens. Not overnight, but through the accumulation of small, deliberate choices made again and again until they become your default. This journey doesn't end here. In the next videos, we're going even deeper, with lessons that could completely change how you see your life. Stay tuned, because what's coming next might be exactly what transforms your journey.